Hi, I'm Kimberly Allison from Starliner Music. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to continue with my series entitled Blues Solos with Comping. In these exercises, we go back and forth from lead guitar to rhythm guitar accompaniment, also known as comping. This is in the span of a 12-bar blues. First, I will perform blues solo with comping in the key of G, number 7, and then I'll break it down for you. Here we go. I hope you enjoy it. All right, let's take a look at blues solo with comping in the key of G, number 7. So I'm going to break this 12-bar example down into 3 parts, and each part will play a lick, we'll go to comping, play another lick, go to comping. And so we'll be alternating between lead guitar and rhythm guitar accompaniment, otherwise known as comping. So for the example, I will be using one scale only. I will be using the blues scale. So the blues scale in the key of G, I'm going to be playing around the 8th to 11th fret-ish area. And for those of you who know caged, this is called the C pattern. That's because the chord here looks like a C. If I play a C7 chord like this, and then I move that to where it's a G7. That would be here, where my ring is at the 10th fret where there's a G. I have this chord shape, and this looks like a C. So I'm talking about this octave shape, and I'm talking about the minor pentatonic pattern that fits over that. So the minor pentatonic and the blues scale are pretty much the same thing. Those terms get used interchangeably. The only difference is that the blues scale adds the blue note, and so I will be using the blues scale version. The pattern here looks like this, starting at the 8th fret, C. So that is the G blues scale. Now that we've looked at the scale that we'll be using for this example, let's go on to part 1. Here's part 1. So I'm starting off with a whole step bend, and I'm bending to the root G. So I'm bending from the 10th fret, and I'm bending the note F to G. That's a whole step bend, and I like to begin phrases on chord tone. So I'm bending to the root, that would be a chord tone of G. And then I'm playing the G again here on the 2nd string, and I'm creating a triplet rhythm. So triplet, triplet. And then I have a bend here, and it's about a half-ish bend. I'm bending toward the 3rd of G, bending toward the note B. So, and then I'm going to go down to the comping. So for the comping, I'm going to start with a G power chord. The power chord is the root and the 5th of a chord, so I'm playing G and its 5th D. Then I go quickly to a C triad, so I'm just barring my ring finger across the 5th fret. This is a C triad. Now you might think, well, we're not on a C chord. We aren't on a C chord, we're on a G chord, but the C triad creates a quick sort of suspended tension around the G and provides for movement in our comping. So I'm going to go from the G5 to the C power chord, and then I'm going to go into an abbreviated G7. So these 3 notes are in a G7. They're the 7, the 3, and the 5 of the G7. And I'm going to trill to the 3rd of the chord, B. And so not only can you hear the B, which is the 3rd of the chord, you can hear a little bit of the flat 3rd under the bar. This adds to the bluesy quality of the comping. Remember that blues tonality is usually a mixture of major and minor sounds. So we have both the major and minor third in our comping. So let's hear that again. And now I'm going to start the same way with that same bend and play triplet. And then come down the scale, minor third, and then end on the root G. And go right back to the comping. Let's put part one together. Now for part two. Here's part two. So at this point, I'm leading into the C chord. That's the 4 chord of our 12-bar blues. So I'm going to preview the C harmony by starting on a C and playing a chromatic passage. So I'm using the blue note here. So C, chromatic, using the blue note up to the D, and then down the minor pentatonic scale, and then bending to the note C with the whole bend. And at this point I'm on the C chord, and I'm going to move my comping to C. So it's the same comping pattern as before, except it's transposed to C. So I have a C power chord, I have a brief F triad for motion, and then I have a C seventh chord that's abbreviated, and I'm hammering on to the major third. I'm using a trill here. One more time. Then I'm going to continue with a lick that leads back to G. So I'm starting here on B flat with a triplet, and then coming down the scale, and then bending to the note G. This marks the arrival back at my G7th chord. So bending to the note G, and then I'm moving my comping back to G because I'm back on G7. Let's put that together one more time. On to part three. Here's part three. So I'm starting with the D note, and I'm ending on a D note. I'm coming straight down the blues scale. Now this is because I'm targeting the 5 chord D7, so I'm bookending this lick with Ds. And then I'm waiting a little bit because I'm waiting for the C chord change to happen. And I'm not playing any comping over the D, I'm just comping over the C. So then I come in on the C comping as I played before. Then I go to a short minor pentatonic idea, starting here, ending on a G. And at this point now I'm on the G7th chord, and I'm going to play a G turnaround. Now this is a double stop turnaround, and I'm going to keep G as a constant pedal tone in my double stop turnaround. This is very common to keep a consistent chord tone off in the root in a double stop turnaround. And the other part of the double stop turnaround will be chord tones, the flat 7 chromatically walking down to the 5th. So that's the lower portion of my turnaround, and I'm going to keep the root on the top. So I'll be putting this together. And so that's the turnaround, and then I will approach the root of my 5 chord D chromatically from the C. And when I get there, I'm going to play an abbreviated D7 chord. So here is the root, the 3rd, and the 7 of my D7. So this is a D7 chord, the 1 chord. Now I'm interpreting the 1 chord as G13. So this is an upside down G13 chord. The root is not at the bottom. It's actually in the top of the chord. So this is the chord. The flat 7 is the lowest note. Then I have the 3rd, and then the 6th. That's the same as the 13. And then I have the root on the top. So that's G13. Let's put part 3 together. That's it for blues solo with comping in the key of G number 7. I'm Kimberly Allison from Starliner Music, and I hope to see you back on my channel soon.